Jesus says in the four Gospels that there's 12:30 and Mark or Matthew 12:39 and 40. It says that no sign will be given to this wicked generation except the sign of Jonah. 3 days was Jonah in 3 days and 3 nights was Jonah in the belly of the whale. So shall the Son of Man be in the heart of the earth. Now, that is interesting. It says the heart of the earth. It could have said the surface of the earth. It could have said a cave on the earth, but it didn't. It said in the heart of the earth. Why would it say the heart? Because 7 domes above, 7 domes below, and in the very center at Hell's Gate is Abraham's bosom, which is where all the saints had to go to be preserved. Their souls were preserved from the day they died until Jesus came to allow the prisoners to escape the clutches of hell, Satan, and death. And as Jesus is coming down to the heart of the earth from his tomb on the face of the earth, which is another term used in the Bible, which it could have said if it wanted to. Jesus comes down and Satan and death are having a conversation, and they're talking about how Jesus has to be God. Because death says that Jesus pulled Lazarus from the underworld like an eagle went screaming out of hell. Like, because Jesus is the only one that can do that. Like, the demons know they were judged and they fell. They know the only one that has the power to take away their current earthly power of death and control over death is the Son of God, the Creator, Jesus. They know this. They just didn't understand that Jesus was God until he came down and kicked them in the face, because Jesus hid himself when he went down through the different layers of the heavenly realms. And as you go up and down, there's gates and codes and different things that you have to give as the password to get from one section to the other. And as you go down from the 7th layer where Jesus is and God's throne is, you come down through the different layers. There's different brightnesses of the angels. So Jesus had to disguise himself, because obviously if he's God, he's brighter than them all, and he's going to show as himself unless he disguised himself. Jesus had 4 of the archangels go with him. Gabriel, Michael, Uriel, and Raphael were the archangels that went with him, and they went down and they all hid themselves so that they could not be seen by the other angels, because this was a mystery. That was how Jesus went into Mary's stomach and entered into this matrix, holographic dimension, or whatever you want to call this organic matrix that we live in, that is not the reality of the soul world. The spirit world is much, much bigger and much, much more real looking than this dimension is. And the power given to Satan and death was given to them by Jesus. So if death is saying Jesus must be God because of how Lazarus left, death knows, Hades knows, that his power comes from a certain source. Because death as an entity, his purpose is to contain the souls of human beings within his being. Like, you just think of angels as like a dude with wings. It's not always like that. There are beings that are different things. There's, I think it's called Calcadras or something like that follow the sun. They look like phoenixes or something like that, and they follow the sun everywhere it goes. It's like a trail behind it, and they like guide it and stuff like that. And this guiding of the sun is something they do every single day, and there's a certain thing that you can do to see them in reality, I'm saying. And all these things I'm talking about are different things that were given to Solomon to understand and to know by wisdom. And what he did is he turned against the wisdom. He lost the Ruach HaKodesh. He lost the Ark of the Covenant because of sexual immorality and for idol worship. Because he crushed the grasshopper that was on the doorknob or whatever, so he could go sleep with somebody who looked like Kardashians. You know, like that's what I like. If you read it, picture it in your mind. It's easy to picture it that way. Solomon found out all the different layers of heaven, all the different angels in each heaven, and how could he find all this out? He read the book of Enoch. Enoch wrote everything down when he was in heaven. So all Solomon has to do, regardless of if he understands, like, Solomon has to be super intelligent and wise to understand Enoch enough to use it in practicality in modern day, like in our realm, you know, like in our world. You could just read Enoch and not have any clue what you're reading and not have any way to use it in real life. But Solomon was smart enough that he could use it. He could understand the 7 sciences that are talked about in the Genesis 6 conspiracy. And the 7 sciences are what the evil people, the line of Cain, used to produce witchcraft. Not only through child sacrifice, which has happened way back in the day, bringing magic upon the world, but the things that the fallen angels taught mankind in Genesis 6, that stuff was all taught to Adam in the righteous way. There's a way, it's like, if you want to say it this way, because it's an absolute thing, Star Wars was copied off of reality. So was The Matrix, so was Terminator. All these movies were based off of Christ-like wisdom, basically. The author tells you this. I'm not making this up. You can go ask the author, like, go listen to the author of The Matrix. And I don't mean the Trinity sisters that made The Matrix. I mean the person that wrote the book. That movie, The Matrix, that's what Elon Musk says that we are living in, is a digital, like a organic matrix, if you will. And this isn't like, if you like read the books they talk out, this makes a lot of sense. Why the spirit world, when people die, is so much more real than this world. It's because that's what Jesus says. Riches are an illusion. This place is an illusion. Your pain is a temporary illusion. Do you still have the pain you had like 2 years ago when you were sick or something like that? No. Why? Because it's just your nerves telling your brain that it hurts and like stuff like that. So it's not actual reality. It's just like what you're dealing with that second. You see what I'm saying? It's like not like everything you do here has a consequence in the spiritual realm. But what stays is the spiritual realm stuff. What dies is your human stuff. So you don't want to produce something in your humanness that goes into the spiritual realm and then it stays there. It's like stuck there, and like you have to like say, why did you allow that to happen? And it talks about this in the sense that you can produce like children through sin, and you can produce like children through like righteous things. Like someday we're going to have children that we don't even know about, type of thing. Like, but they're not produced by sex, they're produced by something else. Like, this is, I know this sounds crazy, but this is all talked about in the books they took out. So it links to the canon, like in the canonical scriptures too. It's just you might read it in the canon and go by it and not realize what it's meaning. And then you read the other books, you're like, whoa, that's a lot more explanatory than I thought it was going to be. So, Jesus is going down through the 7 layers of heaven, down into Mary's stomach. There's so many more things that happen with that whole story that they don't tell you about, where like time froze, like even the water didn't trickle, like nothing was moving. Like when Jesus was born, like a lot of crazy stuff happened. Like some of the gifts that were given to Jesus by the wise men were like things that were like, and like things that were in the cave where Jesus was born was actually like stuff that was in the cave where Adam was, like the frankincense, myrrh, and the gold and all that stuff was all stuff that was in the cave of treasures and everything, which is where all the patriarchs lived when they came onto the earth. And then as the patriarchs started living and growing and having children over 900 years that they lived, because they lived longer, you know, some of the children started listening to the music down below the mountain in the valley where Cain's children were, and they went down and they had sex with Cain's line, and they couldn't go back up the mountain. They lost their souls, it says. It's sad. I don't know if those same people were allowed to enter into paradise once Jesus came. It doesn't say which people went. Like, it doesn't say, John Smith went. It doesn't say that. So, like, you don't know, did Jesus allow them to repent when he came to the underworld in Abraham's bosom. Like, and everything I'm saying right now is, like, if I was driving right now by myself and I wasn't doing a video about this, I would be thinking about the same stuff. I'd probably be thinking about some evil things too, because my brain does that, and then I say, Jesus, help me to not think about that, or I rebuke this. Sometimes I don't say, Jesus, rebuke this, and then I dwell on evil things, and I shouldn't do that. It's just human beings do that all the time. And yes, I'm human, and I make mistakes, and I am just like you, and there's nothing special about me, and I'm not a prophet. I don't claim to be a prophet. I'm not a pastor. I'm nobody, really. I'm just some carpenter kid that started reading these books and realizing that a bunch of schmucks that run the churches took the books out that were Jesus's actual words, that you should be living on every word that comes from the mouth of God, not just the ones that you like and not just the ones that you think are great. Like, they're all great, but that doesn't mean you get to pick and choose that, like, you don't like this and you don't like that. It says in the book of Jude, Jesus' half-brother, the son of Joseph with his former wife before Mary, Jude says, certain men crept in unawares. How could a man creep in without you knowing? How could a human being creep into a place without you knowing? Well, interesting you should ask that, because Cain's line is seraphic. They can change shape. And if you read any document that you want that is an audio document, and you listen to the people's, like, testimonies of seeing certain things at certain Masonic halls, is that the leader of the Masonic hall, almost every single story I've heard, has turned into a reptile-like being in front of the whole entire Masonic congregation. And what do demons require? They require blood sacrifice and sexual perversion, and that is what they do at these Masonic meetings. They sexually torture human beings. It's been recorded by multiple witnesses. The Masons serve Lucifer. Whether the lower orders of the Masons know this or not is irrelevant. Albert Pike says that 3 world wars are needed for people to accept Lucifer as God. The final war will be between Muslims and Christians. Now go look online what happens every night in the UK right now. There are Muslim men all over the streets, and all these girls in lingerie and outfits hookers shouldn't even wear in the streets are walking around, going to clubs, and having sex with whoever they feel like having sex with, doing whatever they feel like doing, getting drunk, having orgies basically out, all over the place. And this, what I'm saying right now, is why Jesus says the Muslims will be allowed to take over all Christian lands, because the people are, not because he loves the Muslims, it says this specifically, not because he loves the Muslims, but because of the sexual depravity of the Christian nations. Whether people say that Christians or not, it's irrelevant. You live in a Christian nation, you take the benefits of living in a Christian nation, because there are certain benefits that come with that, like law and order and things like that, when people follow the 10 Commandments and whatnot. And then you go and act like a pagan, and you act worse than the Muslims do, because you might not realize it, but devout Muslims live very, very orderly lives. And many of them do not want to kill Christians, whether their religion says to or not. And these people, I pray, will come to the knowledge of Jesus Christ, realizing that Muhammad and Allah are false. You cannot get to the Father. If Allah is who you want to get to, you can't get to, dude, without Jesus, it says. No man comes to the Father except by me, Jesus Christ, the Son of the living God, the man who rose to 33 years old, never sinned, healed the sick, the poor, the humble servant who loved everybody that he met and took care of everybody he met and healed everybody that he met. Even said to the people that crucified him that he's not mad at them, he just is mad that they have a wicked heart. So if you feel like you have a wicked heart today, and you feel like you haven't forgiven somebody, or you feel like you're living a life that you should not live, I would ask that you turn and repent from that life. As I do daily, try to change and be better than I was the day before. Even when I fail multiple times, multiple weeks in a row, if I fail, I am always trying to perfect myself according to the image of Jesus Christ, not according to anything I could do in my humanness, but to be more like him. God bless you all. I hope you have a fantastic day. Take care.